Month 3 got you certified. Today, we move into the part that catches experienced admins off guard in production. Generative orchestration is enabled by default. Most of you left it that way, and that is fine. But do you know exactly what that toggle does to every agent in your environment, including agents someone else built 18 months ago? We are also going to build something today that runs without a user ever typing a word. An autonomous agent watching a Dataverse table, activating when a row changes, and taking action in teams. And we close by writing a governance document that your CISO could actually defend. 5 objectives, 4 hours. Each objective maps directly to a failure mode that shows up in real production environments when it is not addressed. Timing, 3 minutes facilitation tip. Do not read the objectives off the slide. Pick the one most participants have already misconfigured without realizing. AI general knowledge governance is the reliable answer, and surface it immediately. The goal is to create tension before the teaching, not relief after it. Question to pose. Before we start, without looking it up right now, how many of you can state with certainty what the current state of the generative orchestration toggle is in your production environment? Hour 1 is the landscape. We map all 6 generative AI capabilities in Copilot Studio and split them into 2 governance buckets, what authors control and what admins control. Then we do a case study that should make every one of you think about your current promotion checklist. Hour 2 is orchestration mechanics, the full comparison table, the description quality lab, and autonomous agent trigger architecture. The description quality lab is where you actually rewrite real examples, not just hear standards described. Hour 3 is the build. You are building 2 agents with a working Dataverse trigger and a grounded HR FAQ agent. Both require a live environment, and both get verified through analytics. Hour 4 is governance writing and peer presentations. 3 volunteers present their agents and governance documents. The class gives structured feedback using the evaluation rubric. This session is heavier than months 1 through 3. There are 2 build deliverables and a written governance document, all in 4 hours. Manage your time aggressively in Hour 3 or Hour 4 will feel rushed. Timing, 5 minutes facilitation tip. Confirm now that everyone has the IT incidents Dataverse table provisioned. If anyone does not, have them start provisioning it immediately. It takes 2 minutes and it blocks the Hour 3 build entirely. Do not find this out at 2:00 p.m. Question to pose. Has anyone here had a generative AI setting cause an unexpected user experience in a production agent? Set the tone for honest discussion. 6 generative AI capabilities in Copilot Studio, 2 governance categories. This distinction is the lens for the entire session, so let's be exact. Author-facing capabilities are governed through change control and solution promotion review. You do not flip a single switch to control them. You control them through the policies that govern what gets deployed and how. 4 capabilities fall here. Generative answers queries knowledge sources at runtime SharePoint, files, graph connectors, and synthesizes a natural language answer without a pre-authored topic path. Natural language topic authoring lets authors create topics by describing intent in plain English rather than hand-coding trigger phrases. Prompt authoring allows authors to compose custom AI prompts within a topic using the prompt node, including Python execution, via code interpreter. Flow authoring generates power automate cloud flows from a natural language description inside Copilot Studio. Admin-governed capabilities are your direct controls. 2 capabilities fall here, and they are not symmetric, and that asymmetry is the governance challenge this session addresses. Generative orchestration is the default runtime mode for new agents and new environments. The language model dynamically selects topics and tools against user utterances rather than matching keyword trigger phrases. The governance control is an environment-wide toggle in the Power Platform Admin Center. AI general knowledge allows the agent to answer from the underlying LLM's training data when no grounded source covers the question. Off by default. carries significant governance risk in regulated environments because responses are ungrounded, not from your organization's documents. Unlike the orchestration toggle, this setting is per agent only. There is no environment-wide disable. You cannot audit it from one screen. You must check each agent. That gap, the fact that you cannot disable AI general knowledge globally, is the source of the case study coming up in slide 6. Hold on to it. Timing, 15 minutes facilitation tip. Draw the 2-bucket split on the board and have participants call out which bucket each capability belongs in before you confirm. Natural language topic authoring consistently confuses participants who assume it requires admin action. Prompt authoring also surprises people. Some assume the prompt node is admin governed because of its power. Surface those confusions. Question to pose. If a new author joined your team tomorrow and enabled AI general knowledge on a development agent, what controls in your current governance model would catch that before it reached production? 7 dimensions. Work through the table row by row and focus on what each row means for administration, not just authoring. Topic selection. Classic orchestration matches trigger phrases. Authors wrote them, you reviewed them. They are discrete, auditable signals. Generative orchestration uses the language model to score all topics and tools against the full user utterance using descriptions. The governance implication. Description quality is now an operational dependency, not a style preference. A vague description doesn't fail gracefully, it actively confuses the model. Multi-intent handling. Classic mode handles one intent per turn. A user asking about ticket status and escalation in the same message triggers the multiple topics matched system topic. Generative mode can resolve both intents in a single turn. Real capability improvement, but it requires careful topic design to work reliably. Question generation. Classic mode requires explicit question nodes for every piece of missing information. Generative mode auto-generates clarifying questions from slot requirements. Authors may not realize the model is generating questions they did not write, leading to duplicated or conflicting prompts. Tool calling. Generative mode dynamically chains tools based on task context rather than following the sequential branching the author defined at design time. Emergent behavior that was never explicitly designed or tested. Knowledge search. Generative mode performs unified search across all grounded sources with no topic needed. Classic mode requires an explicit generative answers node placed inside a topic. Powerful, but your knowledge governance must be airtight before you go live. Description dependency. This is the most important row for administration. High dependency in generative mode, low in classic. The LLM is only as good as what it can read in your descriptions. Max tool scale. Performance degrades beyond 30 to 40 overlapping topics and tools. No enforced limit in classic. That threshold is a governance parameter you now need to track for every agent in your estate. Timing. 15 minutes facilitation tip. Do not rush this slide. Pause at topic selection and description dependency and make them personal. Ask participants to think about their current most complex production agent. Would it hold up under generative orchestration's description requirements? Question to pose. Which of these 7 capability differences creates the highest governance risk in a regulated environment, and why? Navigation path. Power Platform Admin Center at Admin. Power Platform. Microsoft. COM. Environments. Select the environment, settings, features, toggle labeled Generative Orchestration for Agents. On by default. The single most important fact about this toggle, it is environment-wide. Every agent in the environment, including agents deployed before you change the setting, including agents built by other teams, is affected immediately. There is no per-agent override. Disabling it is a blunt instrument. There are legitimate reasons to disable it, but none of them make it less blunt. Who can change it? Environment admin or tenant admin. Agent authors cannot. That is the correct access boundary, but it means authors will sometimes request this change without understanding the blast radius. The risk scenario. An admin disables the toggle in production because one agent is misbehaving. Every other agent that relied on dynamic topic selection, agents whose topics have no trigger phrases because the model handled routing stops routing correctly. Users hit fallback topics. The agent's hardest hit may be the ones the admin knows least about. This is not hypothetical. It is how it breaks. Safe disable procedure. Audit every agent in the environment for generative features, identifying topics with no trigger phrases that rely entirely on description-based routing. Reauthor trigger phrases for all critical topics in classic mode before touching the toggle. Test in a lower environment first. Communicate to all agent authors before you flip the switch. This is a change management operation, not a configuration change. Timing. 10 minutes facilitation tip. If you have access to a live environment, show the actual navigation path. Point to the toggle location. Participants should note the path. They will need it in the governance document they write in Hour 4. Question to pose. If you disabled this toggle in your production environment right now, which of your agents would break first? Do you know? This is a composite of a failure pattern that is common enough that you should assume some version of it has happened, or is happening, in organizations similar to yours. Contoso Finance deployed a Copilot Studio HR agent in a shared development environment. A developer enabled AI general knowledge during authoring to test how the agent handled questions not covered by the grounded HR documents. Understandable. Useful for testing. The agent was promoted to production without anyone checking agent settings, AI capabilities. The AI general knowledge setting travels with the agent when it is exported as a solution. If it was on in dev, it arrives in production with the toggle on. End users in a regulated financial services context began receiving responses sourced from LLM training data, not from approved HR policy documents. These are not obviously wrong responses. The LLM produces confident, coherent, natural language answers. A user asking about a specific leave policy receives an answer that sounds authoritative but reflects general LLM training knowledge, not Contoso's actual policy. The user cannot see the difference. Control gaps. No promotion checklist requiring review of AI capabilities before each deployment. AI general knowledge treated as a temporary developer tool with no documentation requirement. No automated scan of agent configurations in the CI/CD gate. Shared dev environment configuration, never audited against production. Remediation. Disable AI general knowledge on the production agent immediately and republish. Add the configuration review step to the promotion checklist. Create a documented business justification requirement for any future exception. Add a quarterly review date field to all agent configuration records. None of these remediations required a product change. They required process. The governance infrastructure Contoso built after the incident is the governance infrastructure available to you before one. Timing. 12 minutes facilitation tip. After reading the scenario, pause before revealing the control gap column. Ask participants to identify the gaps themselves. This works as a 1-minute group callout or individual think time. The goal is to transfer the analytical pattern, not just to relay the facts. Question to pose. In your current promotion process from dev to production, what specifically reviews the state of AI capabilities before each deployment? Generative orchestration uses descriptions to route. That is not a simplification, it is the mechanism. The language model reads every description in every turn and scores each topic and tool against the user's utterance using semantic similarity. A vague description creates a broad, imprecise target. Multiple vague descriptions create ambiguity the model cannot reliably resolve. 4 standards. Active voice. Start with a verb. Not this topic handles incident queries, but retrieve the current IT incident status for a given ticket ID. The verb declares intent. Domain keywords. Include the specific vocabulary your users actually say. If users say ticket and your description says case, scoring suffers. Globally unique names. Two topics called IT Help and IT Help Desk will compete. The model cannot break ties reliably when names are near identical and descriptions are also similar. Concise, not generic, one sentence. Handles user questions is semantically empty. It is true of every topic in the agent. Work through the examples. The reject column shows what is common in inherited agents and what you will find in your own estate if you audit it today. The accept column shows what gives the model real signal. Escalate an open IT incident from medium to high severity when the user provides a business impact justification. Active verb, domain terms, specific condition, one sentence. Description standards should be a written governance artifact, a standard that new authors are trained against, and that reviewers check before a topic or tool is approved for production. Timing, 15 minutes total, including the rewrite exercise facilitation tip. Run the description quality lab during this slide. Put 5 badly written descriptions in a shared document and give participants 8 minutes to rewrite them individually. Common failure modes to correct, starting with this topic. Using handles or manages, describing the domain rather than the specific intent. Debrief by projecting rewrites and picking the strongest for each example. Question to pose. What is the worst topic description you have written or inherited? What would you change if you had to rewrite it using these 4 standards right now? The 30 to 40 tool threshold is the number that experienced admins discover by accident when routing starts behaving erratically. Your job is to make it a governance parameter before that happens. Overlapping is the operative word. The threshold is not simply a count of all topics and tools. It is a count of topics and tools that compete for the same user utterances. An agent with 40 topics across 4 completely distinct domains, 10 HR topics, 10 IT topics, 10 finance topics, 10 legal topics, each described with precise, non-overlapping vocabulary, can perform well beyond 40. An agent with 20 IT topics all covering slightly different aspects of incident management, with similar vocabulary throughout, will degrade below the threshold. The performance curve depends on semantic overlap, not raw count. Symptoms of threshold breach are observable in your analytics. Incorrect topic selection for clearly stated utterances, random routing between similarly named topics, increased latency on the orchestration step, and a rising rate of "I didn't understand that" fallback responses. These are your diagnostic signals. If you see them, tool count and description quality are the first places to look. Mitigation in order of preference. Split by domain into multiple agents connected via agent-to-agent handoffs. This is the architectural fix that scales. Retire unused topics on a quarterly cadence using analytics data. Topics not triggered in 90 days are candidates for deletion. Consolidate overlapping topics. 2 incident status topics are worse than 1 with branching logic. Review descriptions before adding any new topic. Treat it as a gate in your authoring process. Timing, 10 minutes facilitation tip. Ask the room how many topics their primary production agent has. The number is often surprising to the person who manages it. If someone has more than 30, work through the mitigation strategies with their specific case. Question to pose. If you had to cut your most complex agent's topic count by half without losing functionality, what would your strategy be? Autonomous agents have no user. No one sends a message to start them. The trigger fires a data change, a scheduled time, an incoming webhook, a Teams message, and the agent executes. This is a fundamentally different deployment model from conversational agents, and the governance considerations are different too. 4 trigger types available in Copilot Studio. Teams message received. Fires when a keyword or pattern appears in a Teams channel or chat. No Dataverse required. Use case. Monitor an operations channel for escalation keywords. Governance consideration. The agent reads Teams messages, review DLP and information barrier policies. Dataverse row change. Fires on create, update, or delete of a row, optionally filtered by column values. Dataverse required. This is what you are building today. Use case. Incident escalation when severity changes to critical. Governance consideration. The agent needs Dataverse permissions. Govern those permissions the way you govern any security role assignment. HTTP webhook fires when an external system posts a payload to the agent's endpoint. No Dataverse required. Use case: CI/CD failure alerts, EOT events, third-party SaaS notifications. Governance consideration. The webhook endpoint is publicly accessible. Authentication and payload validation are required before the agent acts. Scheduled fires on a cron expression. No Dataverse required. Use case: daily compliance checks, weekly orphaned agent reports. Governance consideration. Scheduled runs consume message session quota regardless of whether there is work to do. Add an early exit condition. Critical fact that causes confusion. Autonomous agent runs appear on the Autonomous Agent Run Analytics dashboard, not on the Conversational Sessions dashboard. If you look at the wrong dashboard to validate a trigger, you will see nothing and conclude the trigger is broken when it is working perfectly. Timing. 12 minutes facilitation tip. If possible, show both analytics dashboards in a live environment and demonstrate the difference. Participants need to know exactly where to look during the lab before they start building. Question to pose. For each of the 4 trigger types, name one real scenario from your organization where that trigger would be the right choice. What would break if you used the wrong one? 5 steps. Walk through each one with the common failure mode alongside it. The most reliable way to prevent lab failures is to name them before they happen. Step 1. Create the agent. Copilot Studio. Create new agent. Name: IT Incident Monitor. Write the description using active voice standards immediately. Do not name the agent and fill in the description later. Do it now as a habit. Model the standard. Monitor the IT incidents Dataverse table for critical severity row changes and send Teams notification to the assigned engineer. Step 2. Add the autonomous trigger. Agent settings, triggers, add trigger, Dataverse row change. Select the IT incidents table. The table is MFS incident. Common failure here. The table has not been provisioned in this environment. If it is missing, stop and create it now. The trigger configuration depends on the schema. Step 3. Set the filter expression. Filter on row update where MFS severity equals critical. This scopes the trigger to high priority incidents. Without this filter, the trigger fires on every row change in the table, status updates, assignment changes, everything. On a high-volume production table, an unfiltered trigger exhausts quota rapidly. The column name in the filter must match the schema name, not the display name. MFS severity is the schema name. If a participant has customized the column's display name, they may use the wrong name in the filter and the trigger will fail silently. Step 4. Author the run topic. The trigger automatically creates an on Dataverse row change topic. Inside it, add 3 actions. Retrieve the row data to access incident details. Send a Teams notification using the incident title and severity. Update MFS status. Add the clear variable values node targeting conversation. History before the first action. We cover why on the next slide. Step 5. Publish and verify. This is the most common lab failure. Without publishing, triggers will not fire. Not at all. The trigger looks configured in the UI, but it is not active until the agent is published. Publish first. Then create or update a test row with MFS severity set to critical. Then check the Autonomous Agent Run Analytics dashboard. Timing: 15 minutes as instruction before the Hour 3 build facilitation tip. Walk through this in a live environment before participants start building. Walk around during the build itself. The 2 most common blockers, missing table and unpublished agent, both stop progress entirely. Catch them early. Question to pose. What would your filter expression look like if you wanted the trigger to fire only when the assigned engineer field changes to a specific person? Generative orchestration maintains context between turns using a system variable called conversation. History. In a conversational agent, this is the feature that makes multi-turn interactions coherent. The model can reference what was said 2 exchanges ago when formulating a response. In an autonomous agent, this same mechanism becomes a governance risk. Each trigger run can inherit stale context from a previous run if the variable is not explicitly cleared. The agent may reference data from the incident that triggered 2 minutes ago rather than the current incident. In a high-frequency trigger environment, a table that receives hundreds of changes per day, this context bleed produces systematically wrong behavior. The analytics show the agent is executing successfully. It is, but the actions it is taking are based on the wrong context. 2 controls. Option 1. Insert a clear variable values node targeting conversation. History as the first node in the trigger topic before any action runs. This explicitly wipes conversation context at the start of each run. Option 2. Enable conversation history for the current session only in the Generative Orchestration settings panel. For autonomous agents, Option 1 is preferred. The intent is visible in the topic design and the behavior is predictable. Node placement pattern. On conversation start topic, clear variable values targeting conversation. History, then continue. For the autonomous trigger topic, clear variable values as the first node, then retrieve row data, compose notification, send, update status. The lab symptom that tells you this node is missing is the agent referencing a previous incident's details in the current run. The fix is always the same. Add the clear variable values node before the first action. Timing. 10 minutes facilitation tip. Demonstrate the failure first in a live environment. Run the trigger twice without the clear node and show the context bleed. Then add the node and show clean execution. The failure mode is much more memorable than the description of it. Question to pose. Are there cases where you would deliberately want conversation history to persist across runs in an autonomous agent? What are the risks of designing for that? AI general knowledge allows the agent to answer using the underlying LLM's training data. Not your SharePoint documents, not your uploaded policy files, not your graph connector data. Training data. That data has a cutoff date, was not filtered for your organization's policies, and reflects no awareness of what your organization has or has not approved. Toggle location. Agent settings, AI capabilities, allow ungrounded responses. Off by default for new agents. Per agent setting only. There is no environment-wide toggle for this setting. The orchestration toggle is environment-wide. This one is not. That asymmetry is a governance gap you must close through process, not through a single control point. Risk factors individually. Hallucinations. The LLM states incorrect facts with high confidence in natural language. Users have no visibility into whether the response is grounded or not unless you have designed disclosure into the agent's responses. Out-of-date information. Training data has a cutoff. Policy changes after that cutoff are invisible to the model. Responses inconsistent with corporate policy. The LLM knows general HR, finance, and legal concepts, but does not know your organization's specific procedures or exceptions. Regulatory noncompliance. In financial services and healthcare, responses must be traceable to approved sources. Ungrounded responses cannot be traced. Governance policy. Default to disabled, no exceptions without documented approval. Approval requires a business justification naming the specific use case and why grounded sources cannot cover it. A data classification review confirming the agent does not handle confidential or restricted data. A quarterly review date, not quarterly reviews as a standing process, but a specific calendar date assigned at approval. An audit trail recording who enabled it and the approval chain. A documented rollback procedure, agent settings, AI capabilities, disable, publish under 5 minutes. Name the individual authorized to execute the rollback in an emergency without going through standard change approval. Timing, 15 minutes facilitation tip. Before this discussion, distribute the governance checklist template from slide 15. As you go through risk factors, ask participants to mark which risks apply to their most sensitive production agent. This makes the Hour 4 governance drafting session more personal and less generic. Question to pose. Which of your production agents, if it had AI general knowledge enabled without your knowledge, would create the highest regulatory risk in your organization. What is your current detective control for that scenario? 3 quota domains affect the patterns in this session, and each one has a distinct failure mode you need to anticipate. Generative answers queries, per tenant and per environment limits. Exact numbers are in the Power Platform licensing documentation. Point participants to the path rather than quoting numbers that change with licensing tier. In a classroom setting with a shared trial tenant and 10 or more participants firing queries simultaneously, you will hit the ceiling within minutes. This is a lab setup consideration, not a production consideration for most, but it is worth naming. Autonomous agent runs. Count against the same message session quota as conversational sessions. An autonomous run chaining multiple actions, retrieve row, compose message, send notification, update status counts as multiple sessions. A Dataverse row change trigger with no filter expression on a high-volume table will consume quota at a rate that surprises admins who modeled capacity based only on conversational usage. Always scope Dataverse triggers with a filter. Code interpreter execution. Separate limits, distinct from message session quotas, and not available on all licensing tiers. Verify before building prompt nodes that depend on code interpreter. Discovering this limitation after the agent design is complete is disruptive. Monitoring path. Power Platform Admin Center, resources, capacity. This shows per environment message session usage, AI builder credits, and Dataverse storage. Check this before lab sessions. In production, weekly monitoring for any environment running autonomous agents on active tables is a reasonable baseline. 2 production tips. Add a filter to every Dataverse row change trigger. It is a quota management control, not just a logic gate. Know your escalation path before you need it. Support ticket format, account team contact, confirmation that temporary quota increases are available for paid tenants. Timing. 8 minutes facilitation tip. Before the lab begins, open the capacity screen in the admin center with participants watching. Show them what adequate headroom looks like. If it is low, address it before proceeding into the Hour 3 build. Question to pose. How do you currently monitor quota consumption in your production environments? Is there an alert before the ceiling, or do you find out when something breaks? 4 deliverables, each worth 25%. Let me be precise about what each requires because the most common assessment failure is not technical, it is evidential. Participants build something that works but cannot demonstrate it. Deliverable 1 is the architecture design document, written explanation of your configuration decisions, not what you built but why. Why generative versus classic? How were descriptions authored? What tool count governance applies? Specificity is evaluated. I chose generative orchestration because it improves user experience, is generic. I chose generative orchestration because the IT support use case requires multi-intent handling. Users frequently ask about ticket status and escalation in the same message, is specific and defensible. Deliverable 2 is the autonomous IT incident agent. Working autonomous agent with Dataverse row change trigger on the IT incidents table. Verified through the autonomous agent run analytics dashboard. You need to show at least 1 successful execution after a test row update. Not just a configured trigger. A trigger that has actually fired, executed, and is visible in the correct analytics view. Deliverable 3 is the generative HR FAQ agent. Grounded knowledge sources and AI capabilities correctly configured. AI general knowledge explicitly disabled. Capture a screenshot of the AI capabilities tab as evidence. Generative answers node verified for at least 3 test queries. The grounding requirement is non-negotiable. Deliverable 4 is the governance review document. Written policy using the checklist template. 4 sections. Orchestration toggle decision and rationale. AI general knowledge exception criteria. Quota monitoring plan rollback procedure. Note the dependency. Deliverables 2 and 3 must be working agents before deliverable 1 can be written meaningfully. Build first. Document after. Timing. 5 minutes facilitation tip. Distribute digital or printed copies of the governance checklist template at this point if you have not already. Participants who understand the deliverable structure before they build are more efficient in the lab. Question to pose. Which of these 4 deliverables will be hardest for you to complete in the time available? What is your plan for it? This is the structure for deliverable 4. Use it as a writing guide now, not a reading exercise. Every checkbox should be answered with specific, defensible content before you submit. Orchestration toggle decision section. Document the toggle state for every production environment and state the reason. Not, it was the default, a documented decision, even if the decision is to accept the default. If you are disabling, the affected agents list must be complete. Partial lists create auditable gaps. The responsible environment admin is a named individual, not a team. AI General Knowledge Policy section. The default position is disabled for all production agents. No exceptions without documented approval. This sentence should appear verbatim in the written policy. Exception approval names specific approvers, CISO, data owner, or compliance officer. Business justification requires 3 answers: the specific use case, why grounded sources cannot cover it, and the data classification. Quarterly review is a specific calendar date assigned at time of approval, not a recurring reminder. Quota monitoring plan section. Named owner, specific frequency, concrete alert threshold. Alerting at 80% of message session quota gives time to act before service degrades. Know the escalation path. Support ticket format. Account team contact name, confirmation of the temporary quota increase process. Rollback procedures section. AI General Knowledge Rollback, Agent Settings, AI Capabilities Disable Publish under 5 minutes. Orchestration Rollback, Power Platform Admin Center, Environment Settings Disable Toggle, Immediate Effect on all agents. Both need a named break glass authority. The individual who can execute rollback in an incident scenario without waiting for standard change approval. That person's name must be documented and kept current. Timing. 10 minutes guided review, then writing time during the Hour 4 Governance Workshop facilitation tip. Walk around during the writing session. Push for specificity, named individuals, concrete dates, real thresholds. Generic policies fail audits. Spend extra time with participants writing the AI General Knowledge Exception criteria. It is the most commonly underdeveloped section. Question to pose. In your organization, who would be the break glass authority for rolling back a generative AI setting in production without waiting for change board approval? Is that person's authority documented anywhere today? 4 questions. None of them have clean answers. That is deliberate. These are the questions your organization will ask you, and the quality of your response is what defines senior governance maturity. Question 1. CISO accountability for AI general knowledge. The honest answer requires acknowledging the product limitation. There is no environment-wide disable. What you offer your CISO is a policy that defaults to disabled, a promotion checklist that reviews configuration before every deployment, a quarterly audit that checks each agent individually, and an agent configuration registry that records every exception. You cannot guarantee it with a single toggle. Your compensating controls are the guarantee. Question 2. 50 topics in a single agent across 4 domains. The performance case against it is strong, well above the 30 to 40 tool threshold, with semantically overlapping descriptions across domains. The governance case is equally strong. Cross-domain agents create ownership confusion, DLP entanglement, and knowledge source hygiene challenges across teams with different data classification requirements. The architectural answer is domain-separated agents connected via agent-to-agent handoffs. A senior admin should be able to argue both the technical and governance dimensions. Question 3. Autonomous agent running for 2 weeks with no alerts. The analytics dashboard tells you run count, success rate, and whether errors occurred. It does not tell you whether the actions were correct. A run can succeed while sending a notification to the wrong channel or acting on stale context. Verification requires the analytics dashboard plus business outcome validation. Were the expected notifications received? Were the expected records updated? Question 4. Disabling generative orchestration in production today. What breaks immediately? Every topic with no trigger phrases becomes unreachable. Every topic relying on auto-generated clarifying questions now needs explicit question nodes. Multi-intent handling reverts to one intent per turn. The change management steps required before safe disable. Audit all agents and topics. Author trigger phrases for all critical topics in classic mode. Test in a lower environment. Communicate to all authors. The question is not whether you can disable it. It is whether you have done the preparation to do it safely. Timing: 20 minutes for group discussion. Run as pairs for initial discussion, then bring responses to the full group facilitation tip. If time is short, prioritize question 1. It connects most directly to the governance document they just wrote and generates the most candid conversation about current gaps. Question 4 is the best closer if you have time for it. Question to pose: which of these 4 scenarios is most likely to occur in your organization within the next 12 months? 5 things built or produced today. Not just learned, built. The autonomous agent is in your environment and has logged at least one run. The HR FAQ agent is grounded and verified. The governance document has your name on it. Connect each bullet point back to a specific moment from the session. Compare generative and classic orchestration, the comparison table and the description quality lab. Configured the environment level toggle and understood its blast radius, the safe disable procedure. Built an autonomous IT incident agent with a Dataverse row change trigger, deliverable 2, now in your analytics dashboard. Applied description quality standards and tool count governance. The 4 standards, the 30 to 40 threshold, the mitigation strategies. Produced a defensible AI general knowledge governance policy with rollback procedure. Deliverable 4, drafted in hour 4. Month 5 is multi-agent architecture and model context protocol. The domain separation recommendation from slide 8 gets its implementation architecture in month 5, agent-to-agent handoffs, MCP as the emerging interoperability standard, enterprise orchestration patterns. Pre-reading: use agents together in Microsoft Copilot Studio on Microsoft Learn and the MCP specification overview. Both have a learning curve. Read them before month 5. The session builds on them quickly. Offline milestones before month 5. Verify your autonomous agent has logged at least 5 successful runs from real Dataverse events, not just the test row from today. Submit your governance document for peer review with at least one colleague. Complete both pre-reading items. Timing: 5 minutes facilitation tip. Leave genuine open queue and a time after the closing. The best questions in this session come after participants have had time to sit with what they built. Do not cut queue and stay within the session time window. Question to pose: what is the one governance change you will make in your actual tenant before month 5? Session timing summary.